I want to move to politics now. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer announced Democrats' plans to pass a comprehensive voting reform bill called the For the People Act.
We will put the bill on the floor. We will see if our Republican friends join us. If they don't join us, our caucus will come together and decide the appropriate action to take. Everything is on the table. Failure is not an option.
The package includes protections against gerrymandering, improved election security, and makes it easier to register to vote. The House passed its version of the bill earlier this month, with every Republican voting against it. Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock of Georgia used his first floor speech to address the restrictive voting laws pushed by Republicans in the wake of his Senate runoff win. Here's part of his comments.
We are witnessing right now a massive and unabashed assault on voting rights, unlike anything we've ever seen since the Jim Crow era. This is Jim Crow in new clothes. Within 24 hours, we elected Georgia's first African-American Jewish senator, and hours later, the Capitol was assaulted. It is a contradiction to say we must protect minority rights in the Senate while refusing to protect minority rights in the society. Colleagues, no Senate rule should overrule the integrity of our democracy. And we must find a way to pass voting rights whether we get rid of the filibuster or not.
Senator Warnock received a standing ovation and cheers throughout the chamber when he finished his speech. And the senator will be our guest just ahead on Morning Joe. Let's bring in White House reporter for the Associated Press, Jonathan Lemire. National political reporter for The New York Times, Helena Plott, co-founder and CEO of Axios, Jim VandeHei, and White House correspondent for Politico and co-author of The Playbook, Eugene Daniels. He's also an MSNBC contributor. Good to have you all on board this morning.
Jim VandeHei, again, because we've been around Capitol Hill. I was around with you 25 years ago on Capitol Hill. We saw legislation passing more regularly then. But if you look just over the past 10 years, look at the last 6 years of the Obama administration and Donald Trump's 4 years, really the only significant piece of legislation that passed over that decade, big piece of legislation, was Trump's tax cut that helped a lot of billionaires. Is it possible to get legislation through this Senate or any Senate these days without some major restructuring of the filibuster?
I don't think it is unless one of the parties has some kind of dynamic election result and ends up with 60-plus votes in the Senate. Ever since we've moved to this period of politics where you don't really have moderates in either party, you have a couple, but you don't have nearly as many as they did sort of back when you were in Congress and I was covering Congress. They're gone. So now the parties are so polarized and unified that it almost requires only having a 50-seat threshold if you want to get things done, unless you have a supermajority. And that's really the question that's facing Democrats. Like, it's staring them right in the face. Like, they know they can get this legislation on voting rights passed. They can get infrastructure done. They can get big chunks of the Green New Deal done if they get rid of the filibuster. It's still a big if, but they could. They could really re-engineer government in this country in the image that their base would love to have it re-engineered to comport with if they make that decision. The thing that sits in the back of their mind goes to your question, which is, okay, but if you keep flipping control, and we've had so many, we've had Republicans in full control, then Democrats, Republicans, right, then Democrats. What happens when you don't have power? Does all this stuff just get reversed, or they do unto us as we did unto them? And I think that we're going to know relatively soon. I think this is going to come to a head. Because if you look at the language that you heard in that floor speech, Elizabeth Warren told us that the filibuster is rooted in racism. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Joe Manchin to say, get rid of the damn filibuster and let's do what we want to do, what they believe the voters sent them here to do. We'll see.
I mean, the filibuster's been around a couple of 100 years. Hey, thanks so much for watching our YouTube channel. You can follow up on today's top stories and breaking news, or catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.